In the heart of Benin City, a place where the ancient and modern coexist, there lies a dilapidated house at the edge of the city. The house, shrouded in mystery and darkness, is home to Mama Uduak, an old woman believed by many to be a witch. Whispers about her have circulated for decades, but few dare to speak her name aloud. This old woman never steps out of her house because she is bound by dark, unseen powers. Even though her heart is still pure, these unseen powers turned her physical appearance into something she isn't supposed to be. The unalloyed part of her showed her visions about visitors who will soon pay her an undeserved visit. A part of her wished it could stop this visit, but no, the powers which bound her soul will never allow her to. These visitors are none other than a group of 4 teenagers, Efe, Ayo, Ngozi, and Emeka. This group of 4 teenagers were bored and decided to explore the darker side of the city. Efe, the ringleader, convinced the group to play a prank on Mama Uduak, mocking the rumors of her being a witch. The group of friends were so reluctant, but Efe assured them they had nothing to lose. After school, as they were going home, Efe said to them, "Come on guys, it's just an old lady. What's the worst that could happen?" Ngozi nervously said, "I don't know, Efe. That old woman's story gives me the creeps." Ayo mockingly replied, "Don't tell me you're scared, Ngozi. It's just for fun." And they all laughed. The time for the visitation came as they approached Mama Uduak's mysterious house. It felt as though the house was alive. They just didn't know how to explain, their footsteps echoing in the eerie silence. They begin their prank, spray painting the walls, throwing stones at the windows, and laughing as they do. But their laughter dies when the door creaks open, and out steps Mama Uduak. Mama Uduak emerges from the shadows, her presence sending a chill down the teenagers' spines. She is an imposing figure, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. She asked calmly, "You dare to defile my home? You will face the consequences of your actions." The teenagers freeze, unsure whether to run or stand their ground. Efe, trying to keep up the act, laughs nervously, "Ha ha 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 ha." Then he nervously said, "Come on, old woman, it's just a joke, no harm done." Mama Uduak coldly replies, "The harm has already been done. You will all pay." With that ominous warning, Mama Uduak retreats into her house, leaving the teenagers shaken. They quickly leave, trying to brush off the encounter as just another spooky story to tell. But the consequences of their actions are far from over. Over the next few nights, strange things begin to happen. Each of the teenagers experiences terrifying visions, visions that blur the line between nightmare and reality. It started with Efe, the ringleader, wakes in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat. The room is dark, but something feels off. He turns his head and sees a shadowy figure with glowing red eyes looming in the corner. The figure looks like it's trying to get into his head, and its presence fills the room with an overwhelming sense of dread. The next day, as Ayo walked home from school, he couldn't shake the feeling that someone was following him. The streets, usually bustling with activity, were eerily empty. Every sound, every shadow seemed amplified, menacing. He quickened his pace, but the footsteps behind him grew louder and closer. Ayo frantically hastened his steps. "Who's there? Stop playing games!" To his greatest surprise, he saw a woman a bit far from him, but it felt like her shadow was large and ascending. He wasn't sure who the woman was. The ground beneath him began to crack. Ghostly hands reached out, trying to drag him back. All he could do is hasten his steps. As the days passed, the nightmares spread like a plague among the group. Ngozi began seeing her deceased grandmother, who warned her to stay away from her friends. The old woman's voice was filled with sorrow, her eyes brimming with tears as she pleaded with Ngozi to heed her warning. "Child, the darkness you have awakened is not easily put to rest. You must leave this place, leave them behind, before it's too late." But Ngozi was too afraid to abandon her friends, even as the visions became more frequent and more terrifying. Emeka, the holiest of them all, clung to his faith, found no solace in his prayers. Instead, he heard voices, cruel and mocking, telling him that he was cursed, that no amount of prayer could save him. The voices tauntingly say, "Pray all you want, boy. The darkness is inside you now. There is no escape." Before he knew it, his bed became an ocean which he was trying to escape. Everything felt like a nightmare. 2 days later, Efe, the ringleader, couldn't bear the torments, so he alerted the group for an emergency meeting at his home. He said they need to act fast before these unseen powers consume their soul. Emeka then suggested, "We need to beg her for forgiveness before it's too late," which they all agreed. As the teenagers returned to Mama Uduak's house, this time no trace of bravado, their faces pale, and fear clinged to them like a second skin. As they got to the house, Ngozi whispered, "I can't do this. I can't go in there." Emeka, in his prayer mode, replies, "We have no choice, Ngozi. This is the only way." They stepped inside, the floorboard creaking under their weight. The house was a labyrinth of dark corridors, each one filled with strange symbols and objects that seemed to hum with dark energy. The walls were lined with jars containing unidentifiable substances, and the air was thick with scent of herbs and something far more sinister. They just couldn't believe their eyes. They went further and found Mama Uduak in a small room lit by a single flickering candle. She sat in a chair as though she was waiting for them. They all went in, and Efe opened the floor with a trembling voice. "Mama Uduak, please, we are sorry. We didn't mean to." Mama Uduak interrupted coldly. "Sorry? Do you think sorry can undo what you've done? The spirits you angered are ancient, older than this city, older than time itself. The demand for compensation for being disturbed, and that compensation is your soul." These few words sent chills down their spines. She continued, "The only person who can help you is Father Obina, as he is the priest in the community, and only he can perform a ritual to stop the dark powers." As they were leaving, Emeka heard Mama Uduak whisper his name. He turned back only to find her watching him with a knowing smile. Immediately, he felt a sort of connection to her, almost as if she knew him personally. He didn't understand why he felt that way. The next day in school, they sat at the school cafeteria and conversed about how to go to the priest. So they decided to meet the priest that evening, but they were unsure of what will happen. Were the dark powers ever going to leave after the rituals? Well, they won't know until they see the priest. Later that evening, they all met and made their way to the old church on the outskirts of the city to see their savior, Father Obina. After all they have told him, he said with a serious facial expression, "You have angered forces beyond your understanding, but I will do what I can to help you." He prepares for the ritual, light flickering candles, gives each teenager a black regalia. Then he begins the ritual with prayers and chanting. The candles begin to flicker wildly. The spirits that Mama Uduak controls are not willing to let go of their prey so easily. They disrupt the ritual, sending Father Obina flying across the room and enveloping the teenagers in the shadows. Ayo collapses with a mysterious mark on his chest. The spirits engulfed him as though they were trying to suck out his soul. Father Obina got up and rushed to see what was going on. Trembled by what they saw, their minds were shattered by the horrors they just witnessed. Ife panicking, "We need to get out of here. We're all going to die. What just happened to Ayo? Oh my God." They fled the church, leaving Father Obina behind. They have never seen such a horrifying event in real life except in movies, so they knew they had to run as fast as they could without looking back. Meanwhile, back at Mama Uduak's house, the spirits retaliated with a thunderstorm and lighting, and dead animals scattered around the house. Expressing how angry they are thirsty for human souls, the only compensation they need. Becoming a shadow of themselves day by day, the teenagers went to the National Library because they eavesdropped on a conversation where a schoolmate said Mama Uduak's story was documented in the Benin history. So they thought to themselves that if they know her roots, they might be able to help themselves. The story delves deeper into Mama Uduak's past. As they found out, she was once a revered priestess in Benin City. People from far and wide came to her for solutions to their problems. But tragedy hit her home as she loses her only daughter. The same people who came to her for solutions to their problems, her own people, accused her of killing her only daughter for more powers, and it led to her being banished. This pushed her to seek vengeance from malevolent spirits. This pact she made consumed her, turning her into the feared figure she is today. As they read further, they found out that Mama Uduak adopted a little girl named Isosa, who she thought and transferred all her good powers to. But what no one knows is where this little girl is. By now, this little girl is all grown up. Only her can help them, and she is definitely their only and final hope. The curse intensifies, spreading through Benin City. The spirit-possessed dogs. The dogs turned wild and chased humans, as Chief Osoroji's family was a target. Now, Chief Osoroji was the one who led the crowd in banishing Mama Uduak and her husband many years ago with his daughter Eki and wife Ivy. Chief Osorogi, driven by guilt, he knew why the city was in commotion because he had nightmares about it. He went to seek Baba Eze's help, a chief who warned him about convincing and moving the crowd in banishing Mama Uduak. But as he narrated his ordeal to Baba Eze said, there is nothing he can do about it. But Chief Osarigwai pressed on anxiously. I must protect my family, no matter the cost. Baba Eze sighed. The spirits demand retribution. The sacrifice has to be made. Meanwhile, Isosa had seen visions about the recent events, but she kept ignoring them. This time, the visions came really strong, and she knew she had to help them. The gods told her when the teenagers were going back to Mama Uduak, and also when Chief Osarigi will be going there, so she waited patiently for the time to come. As the big day came, Isosa, Chief Osarigwi, and the teenagers all arrived at the same time. Immediately, the teenagers saw Isosa. They knew she was the one. They didn't need an introduction. They all went in with positive hope, but they knew the terror waiting. As they got in, it was a long corridor with different signs on the wall, different from what the teenagers saw on their second visit. The teenagers were confused if this was the house. But what can they do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, they got to the room where the ritual is taking place. Isosa begins. Hello, I am Isosa, daughter of the great Mama Uduak. You should thank the gods, not me. If it was by my power, I wouldn't be here. Efe calmly replies, we are sorry. We didn't mean to wake any spirit. Please help us. Chief Osarigwai knew what needed to be done because he knows the things of the powers beyond. He lit the candles, creating an atmosphere for the ritual. As Isosa starts the ritual, everyone in the room knows a life has to be taken, but whose? She begins to read texts from the book of the supernatural. The dark powers begin to be awoken as the spirits delve out, hungry for a soul. Chief Osarigwi voluntarily presents himself. The spirit didn't hesitate to suck out the life of its prey. Chief Osarigwai fell lifeless on the floor and the spirit left. The teenagers wished this horror was a dream, but no, it wasn't. The house began to collapse as they all tried to find their way out. Isosa, victorious, was glad she came through for her mother. Mama Uduak's spirit is finally at peace as she appears to Isosa with a final warning. My child, the curse is broken, but the darkness remains. It will seek a new vessel, Isosa. Be vigilant, for it may return when you least expect it. Isosa nods, understanding that the battle against the dark forces is never truly over. Finally, the teenagers go back to their normal lives and vow never to be careless about their lives, because this event may never depart from them. They will live to tell their children about it. On the other hand, Isosa dedicated her life to being a priestess. I vow to carry on with my mother's legacy. She was a good woman. She made me what I am today. Well, the curse may be broken, but the battle is far from over. Darkness will always find a way back. I will be ready. I truly appreciate your time and love for these stories. If you'd like to hear more, Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new tale. Bye for now.